This is what Rome looks like this evening after lockdown restrictions have been eased. The bars and restaurants of the Campo de Fiori are not exactly jumping tonight, and the police are ensuring it stays that way, because this has been only a very small move away from some of the toughest rules in Europe. There was traffic back on the streets of the city this morning, a sight barely seen for 2 months. Buses running and a chance to return to work for 4 million Italians. For the first time, people are being allowed out of their houses to exercise. Coffee shops and some bakeries have been allowed to reopen, though strictly for takeaways only. And always, for everyone, a metre apart.
Good morning, Fabrizio.
But for Fabrizia Marcelli, there's something much more important happening today.
Should we go and find your mother?
Sure. Quite excited.
Despite living just 15 minutes walk away, she's not seen her mother since early March. They've just reopened her normal route through a local park, though nature has been busy in the meantime.
How excited are you to see your mother again?
A lot. Every day we do video calls and everything, but I'm really happy to see her again.
The joys of freedom too for her Jack Russell Camilla, off the lead for the first time in weeks. On arrival, it turns out that the most excited of all is her 3-year-old niece, Matilda. Family reunions like this have been happening all over Italy today. But even so, it's still strictly relatives only. People are still urged to wear masks, keep their distance, and large parties strictly forbidden. But that does little to diminish the happiness of today.
Tantissimo. Tutti I giorni ci sentivamo.
It's such a pleasure, said Fabrizia's mother, Francesca. Every day we've talked on the phone and the video calls have helped. But to see her for real,
È bellissimo. Molto,
it's beautiful.
molto.
It's overwhelming. I mean, I'm really happy to be with my niece, my mother, and I look forward to go inside with them and have a talk with them and touching and eat together. So.
But how long will their reunion last? Virologists recognise there's a danger things could go backwards.
If there is an increasing number of deaths and more infected individuals day by day, it would be a must to close. Probably they will not close with a total lockdown.
The country remains heavily restricted and on alert for new infections, but today has been one important step on the way back.
And James joins us now from Rome. Some lovely scenes there in that report, James. As in other countries in Europe, huge relief and joy, but extreme caution still.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you got the impression there of just how restricted they still are here. Basically, they're coming out of lockdown to the sort of rules that we've had in the UK ever since the lockdown began. They've been able to do this because not only are deaths coming down, but the new infection rate is well down. Round about 1,000 a day here, compared to still about 4,000 in the UK. And that's the key metric, the reproduction rate, the R rate. If someone with the disease on average infects fewer than one other person, infections go down. If more than one person, they go up. And that statistic is what's being watched right across Europe as they make these decisions you were listing there about what to reopen and when. The Germans are talking about making a decision on schools, but they've been made very nervous by evidence from Denmark that when they've let younger children back to school, that R rate, the infection rate, it has risen a bit there. Next week, we're going to see a lot more restrictions lifted in France and in Greece and in Spain, and everyone's going to be looking incredibly closely at the impact that has, because the real fear that scientists and policymakers have here is that once you lift the lockdown, you'll never put it back in place again. You won't be able to get people back in their houses. You won't be able to tell businesses that they have to close once again. It's a genie that may not go back into the bottle, and that's why they're so nervous.